Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. Big up everybody inside the building. Make sure you smash up the likes and subscribe if you are new. We have a special new recruit in the building who I'm going to start with. Javon from the Final Whistle podcast, a Chelsea fan from stateside. And I don't know how he's been able to do this time difference and this time zone for us here today. But bro, welcome to the panel and welcome to the channel, man. A pleasure to have you. I've had you on playback. Great guy. So I'm looking forward to having you on here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm normally up at these times anyways. They say 5 to 9 before 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 after. So just making the hours work for us, you know?
Miss brother, how are you feeling, man? It's been a big week.
Bro, it's been a big week. I thought the Premier League season's over and we're gonna have a little bit of calm, but no, it was wild, Matisse. Last 24 hours has been crazy. So I can't wait to discuss it all with my brothers in the panel and obviously the live chat. Because there's a lot that's going on, and I think we need to make sense of everything.
Yeah, Younes, bro. This club never lets you rest. Double uploads again. You better be ready. Season's finished. Your job only just begins. How you feeling?
Bro, literally, man. Oh, who was it? I was doing a watch along, and then there was someone that wished me a happy break, and I was like, "Break? We don't do breaks here. Like, in fact, this is where the work starts, man. Like, it's about to get busy." So, I'm good. The season's over and it's relieving to an extent. But yeah, now we've seen what's gonna happen, what we're expecting to happen. The last 24 hours, it's mad. So I'm looking forward to this.
And Baba, bro, I know you're probably looking for peace over here on Chelsea situations, but I you know the rules, man. We don't do that around here, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. This football club, for once, we got some happiness after 2 seasons, finished top 6 into the European football, chances of playing in the Europa League, and the next thing you know that manager is not certain to continue. Like, it is very rare for a Chelsea fan to for a Chelsea manager to, make us eat our own words. When we don't trust a manager, when we think that he's not the right guy, and he turned things around. So it's very good that we get proven wrong for the right things. So I was really happy the way we turned things around in the last 5 matches. But this is Chelsea Football Club. There is not a dull day at Chelsea Football Club. What can I say?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only one place to start, and that is just with the manager that is currently at the helm. Ended the season with 5 wins out of the last 5. Put us in 6th place, which is an interesting end to the season. I'll say interesting because we know we all spent 32 out of the 38 game weeks in mid-table mediocrity, but we somehow pull it back. Some people are happy, I think, with the 6th place purely because they were 12th last year. We were 10th for most of the season. So I think it's maybe gratitude. It's maybe just relief. Some people obviously are not happy and will look at the table and think, what could have been if maybe the system had come in earlier, or maybe tweaks were made, or certain decisions weren't made earlier on in the season. We could have even got 4th. We finished, I think, 5 points off of Aston Villa, and the Sheffield United game and the Burnley game in particular obviously stand out for a lot of people, including myself. And there's many sides to this coin. The other side of the coin, as Mrs. called, there is many sides to this coin, because now everybody is, pulling apart like hyenas the Chelsea season and trying to make sense of it all in terms of, who is at fault for what issue, who needs credit for what, part of our season. And I want to lead with you, Javon, just so the audience, big up everybody in the chat. I see you. I'm going to go through the chat in just a moment, go through all the super chats, go through all the comments. I want you guys fully involved. I'm going to put up a poll in a minute as well to see what you're saying on the manager. Javon, just give the audience and the people your stance on the situation. What would you do right now with this situation, manager, team, directors?
Okay, firstly, let's start at the top. My thinking is the directors are the ones to blame for this season we're having, because Directors assemble a team, and directors are the ones that go and get these players, right? So I've once said these directors who came from Brighton and wherever else they came from, these directors came from a level of recruiting where they had to, I don't want to say scrap with the budget they have, but they had to kind of go out and try and find these gems, right? They got recruited to Chelsea. When they came to Chelsea, they had more money, which they didn't have to go and recruit gems, but for some reason they went into the same mode. One would think, okay, it's like getting a promotion. One would think, I get a promotion, I have more money, I can do better things. I don't have to do the same set of things at this different place. But they tend to do that. Where did that come from? That came from the ownership. So I've always been change the directors of football. We can start having a conversation about recruitment and being serious. Now, I don't think that these directors are going to change anytime soon. So now we have to look at Pochettino and the job that Pochettino did over the entire 38-game season. Not the upturn in the end of the season, but the entire 38. Now, up until I want to say match week 32, maybe match week 33, we saw uptake in form. We saw some form of transition in this team. And I really want to say, well, we did play against Everton well when we won that 6-0. I really want to say it's after we got the hiding from Arsenal. After we got the hiding from Arsenal, something clicked. Half of me wants to say it's because it was down to injuries. We didn't have another choice. Poch was throwing things at the wall. But the other half of me want to say, listen, in preseason, he did this. Why did it take so long to come here? No. With that being said, it changed, right? We had a show on playback, and on playback, I said, the change has to start now. Don't tell me to wait until the end of the season to rip it up and start over. I said, if you want a strong mentality, it needs to change now, right? This is after the 5-0 loss. And my exact words were, you change this now, in the sense that I don't care whatever you have to do. I don't give a fuck what you have to do. Change this now and get me wins to the end of the season. So said, so done. Maybe it wasn't the best football at the time, but the results came through the door. Given that the results came through the door, that's where the whole narrative around Pochettino changed. Now, while we were still getting good results at that time, I was saying Poch out. Until one key factor. This club, for some reason, tends to limit itself in the manager market. It doesn't follow the same mold under the Roman Abramovich era, where we just go in, either pay a manager's release cost and get who we want and get a top manager. For some reason, for all the managers in the world, whether free, under a contract, we choose to submit ourselves to what I like to call a scrub list, which is basically up-and-coming managers or managers that doesn't have it at the proven level. You know what that says to me is, you already have a squad that is unproven and is potential-based, and you're trying to get a manager that is unproven at the top level and that is potential-based. You know what that says to me? You're trying to hire someone to recreate the effect of blind leading blind and shit lead shit. That's not going to work, right? If you have a squad that is this young and that you want to develop, cool. You're already in this mode. There's no going back. You then need someone with experience and that is willing to take this squad to the next level. Now, going into the season, I'm going to be honest, completely honest. Apart from apart from Caicedo and apart from Enzo, I couldn't tell you who was world class, who they went out and purchased that was at the young level. Now, after the season, because we built a baseline, then we can say, okay, we need this and this and this to make top 4. Now, because these are young players, when it comes on to Poch, given who's in the market and who's actually available, I don't mean who we want, I think we have to keep him. Because remember, these are young players. If we were supposed to bring in an authoritarian and anybody else, it would to rip up this project and start all over again, it could have a negative effect on these players. And remember, any coach that comes in they're going to want certain assurances and they're going to want different players. So my overall thing is keep Poch for now. Let him finish out his season or give him at least 10 games into the next season. Right? We've seen that you can deliver us wins. We've seen that you can do somewhat of a tactical nose in the last 5 games. Yes, the first 33 games was horrific, including the cup games. But we now have a base to show that you can win.
Yeah.
Just all I'm asking for is build on what you have, use the rapport that you have with the players, and continue and build on that. If you don't, then brother, you gotta go.
Because just to add to some of the points from bringing Miz and then Younes and Baba, with this recruitment, it's very clear to me that they don't care particularly about managers' seal of approval on players coming in and managers' kind of environments and circumstances on how to manage a group. We saw this last year with Potter when he had too many players and they just kept lumping on more players because they just wanted talent through the door and what they see to be as really good recruitment, but it wasn't taking into account, you know, the intangibles of managing a team on a week-to-week basis at a training ground, and obviously coming into the dressing room, doing team talks and overriding and all those kind of things. They weren't thinking about those social levels of the side. This situation may be similar, Miz, where you see Conor Gallagher could be sold, Trevoh Chalobah could be sold. These are key players in this running. These are players that the manager is using and making feel important. He left Disasi out of the squad, I think it was, against Forest, and he had Chalobah obviously starting. And the manager, if he wants to say on transfers, my thing with this is, because this is what it seems to be boiling down to. I think there's 2 things. There's transfers and there's the medical side of it. Who's to blame for the medical? Is it the training regime, or is it the owners bringing in a whole new medical team, or maybe then bringing them back or replacing some people and not having the highest quality staff? I don't know. In sports science. And who's to blame for that? Because I think the injuries have played a large part. I think everybody can agree that if we had Nkuku fit, James fit, Fofana fit, Lavia fit, or Kachuku fit, Chukwuemeka fit, we only get more points, not less. So we probably get a whole heap closer to top 4. Most likely we are in the top 4. But who is actually going to be signing these players? And if Poches has no say, and I'm not saying that I think the manager should be given names. I think he should be given profiles, and then the scouts get those names. They should actually be collaborating. This is the word that they use, collaborate. But if they're not interested in even collaborating with him or listening to him and bringing in profiles that he feels he needs, then that means they are effectively, what they seem to want is just a coach. But in my opinion, most coaches tend to want certain demands in their squad in terms of profile at the very least. Sometimes even specific players like Sarri with Jorginho. If De Zerbi was to come here, I have no doubts he would ask for a more ball-playing goalkeeper than Petrovic, right? Even though he's slightly improved. So every manager is always going to ask for certain criteria and certain profiles in their side. Pep, as soon as he comes to City, he literally slaps out the whole team. I don't want, Joe Hart, the Golden Glove winner. I want to get Bravo. That doesn't work. Cool, get me Edison. So, or at least get me that profile, and then obviously Tiki goes and gets it. Edwards with Klopp. Okay, I want a winger. I don't know what the attributes were. He wanted Brandt. No, I got Salah. But, they're working together. I've said from months ago, these two are not working together. Everybody can see they're not working together. So, I mean, Miz, what do you predict to happen, and what do you want to happen, bro?
Wow, what a loaded question, man. This is the confusion, isn't it? This is the confusion now. What do I think is going to happen, and what do I actually want? Look, let's make first thing very, very clear in terms of where my position is with Maurizio Pochettino, and then we'll get into deeper details as to what the manager's doing, what's the board doing, the mismatch, what's going to happen, and so on and so forth. Firstly, I still believe till today, I don't think Maurizio Pochettino is good enough to compete against some of the top managers in the Premier League and potentially take us back to the glory land. That's just my personal view. I don't think he's that level of a manager. I think he's a decent level of a manager that can, take us to a respectable level, but I don't think he can mix it up with the best of the best. That's just my personal opinion. Now, having said that, however, that's my opinion on him. But what do I actually want now? I've been scared for the past 24 hours since the match finished. The names that's been dropping, the names we're getting linked with, and Fabrizio Romano categorically saying, if Chelsea do part ways with Maurizio Pochettino, Chelsea owners will not go after an experienced manager. They are looking to go for someone who's an up-and-coming manager, more like the way we do with the players. Potential. Someone in the likes of, I don't know, like a Xabi Alonso in Bayer Leverkusen. Someone you just get lucky with and turns out to be a gem, right? So this is why we're now getting linked with Mckenna, Kieran Mckenna. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. That's for people to believe, but that's a name that's genuinely getting floated around now. The reason being, he is someone who is capable of fighting above his weight. You know, he's taken, I think, Ipswich Town from League One to Championship and now to the Premier League. And our owners, they seem to have a fetish for people that they are serious underdogs. They just seem to like that character. And I've said it in my recent videos. I think we are wanting to do what Brighton's doing, but at a bigger scale. I feel like that is the model, but at a bigger scale. So having said all of that, it scared the living daylights out of me, honestly. Like here we are, all the fans, we're thinking about, okay, if you're going to part ways with Poch, which at the time, you know, if I'm being honest, he probably deserves to stay next season. My opinion is he's not good enough, but I can at least admit the fact that he probably deserves, just like Javon said, I've said it as well. He probably deserves to stay for at least the first 10 games to see where he can take us, purely because of how we finished this season to 6th position, potentially in the Europa League. That was really my expectation from the start of the season, thinking that's probably the more realistic approach based on what we did last season. But I'm not going to entertain if Poch walks and you know, here we are once upon a time, Younes and I, we were talking about Jose. Jose is a distant memory. He's not even in the radar, nowhere in the vicinity. They don't even want to deal with anyone above a certain age for managers. Like, you know, your older managers, like Hansi Flick is 59, Sarri is 65, Thomas Tuchel is 50. They're looking at your Mckenna, who's 38, Amram, who's 39, Roberto De Zerbi, who's 44. And even though Roberto De Zerbi could be a bit too old. Do you know what I mean?
Just to add company from last year as well, and obviously Nagelsmann as well.
Exactly. Nagelsmann, 36. Company, I think 38 or 39, something like that. They're looking in that bracket. And Nagelsmann, we already know he's tied himself up in the Germany role, so he's not moving. So this is what scared the living daylights out of me for the past 24 hours to 48 hours. And I'm now thinking, brother, just keep Poch. Like, forgive me for asking for anyone else. Just
do
keep
you
Poch.
think that's why they're putting those reports out there, to make you feel like that, to almost shoehorn you into that? Or do you, like similar to last season, maybe when the shortlist came out? Or do you think it's actually a genuine?
No, Matisse, it's genuine, because I've now clocked what these owners are about. They're not about the big dogs. They don't want those big ones, or else, you know, we would be linked with those type of managers. And the funny thing is, those managers are not even knocking on the door on Chelsea either. I think Jose in John Obi Mikel's podcast said, this is not the same Chelsea as before. So he's probably not entertaining a return back either. Do you know what I mean? This is not the same type. Which manager? And now moving on to the next part. So that's my position in terms of what I feel about Poch. Now moving into the next part. Which manager in their, you know, sensible mind will come in and just simply submit to whatever the owners and the board. Now, a lot of people say, but Miz, that's the same model that Liverpool has. They've got Arne Slot in, he's the coach, and Edwards and whoever else they've got now in the sporting directorship roles, they're going to decide who the team is. But wait a second. Big name, Edwards. We don't have no Edwards. And we don't have a structure laid out the way Liverpool has in terms of the recent successes that Liverpool has seen. That's a proper platform. Our sporting directors and our owners, especially our owners, they don't know anything about European football as yet. And our sporting directors, in terms of Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, they're also, I would say, at a mid-level still. They're not at Edwards's level. So it's a different thing over there. Over there, they've fixed up the structure. They've gone with Arne Slot. I think initially it was Ruben Amorim anyway, but they've gone with Arne Slot. And they know exactly what they're doing over there, right? It's a different case. They know exactly what they're doing over here. With us, it's not the same thing, man. And this is why the mismatch, like you can't have a manager at Chelsea Football Club with, in the likes of Pochettino and not give him what he needs. He's got a distinct way of playing. He's not your up and coming new managers that's just going to coach. He has a certain style that requires certain players. Now, if that's not what you wanted, I honestly feel stranged out about the situation. Why did you select him in the first place? It's as if no research was done. The board members, the owners, they're already declaring Estevao Willian is going to start when he comes to Chelsea Football Club. Kendry Paez is going to start. That's what they're selling out there. That's the product they're selling to these 18-year-olds, like 16, 17-year-olds, that once they're 18, they're going to be starters. How's a manager meant to feel like when these are thrown at you that these players will start in about a season's time? So do what you need to do. And now he's in a predicament where he wants to keep Gallagher. He wants to keep Chalobah. He wants to, have his certain players that he feels that works fine with his system. How's he meant to feel when you're going to strip away those players? And once again, you're going to bring in players that may not suit him directly. So
I think a lot of people feel that with those signings, obviously it breeds a lot of excitement for fans because they're players that have all of this potential and all of this upside, and the sky's the limit. And it's almost like we can dream about how incredible they might become. But if we're stripping it back to a manager level, a lot of work and development and arm around the shoulder and eat this, drink this, and stand there and stand there when we are here and we are there. If you want a system, right? Players need to be able to take in that information and quickly because results are on the line. So it's all good us seeing the rating is potential 95 and the skills and the individualism in Brazil when they're skipping past 3-4 players that can't even lace their boots. But when it comes to Premier League football and the in-depth tactical information that you must take in, is time for that. And you're adapting from a new country and learning a new language. This is where things take time. And it's not me saying that I'm impressed with Pochettino's job this season, because I'm not. I'm not gonna move the first 32 games by the wayside and say, oh, we finished 6th now, and that's what I bare minimum expected. So job done. Like I've watched what's happened in between, and it's been suffering, a lot of suffering along the way. And I think there's a lot of things that he did that didn't help himself. And one of those, in my opinion, is the Maatsen situation at left back. I really don't think he helped himself there. I think he killed 2 birds with 1 stone in a bad way. 2 birds died, really, honestly. The left back with Colwell, he died, and our attacking width on that side and overlap to help a Mudryk or Sterling also died too. I think he literally killed 2 birds with 1 stone. That's my opinion. People talk about height, but we were still conceding from set pieces anyway. So give me something on the ground. But that's besides the point. I just feel that when I don't feel there's many managers that want to win. And this is, I'll have to bring this up, Younes, just to bring it over to, because this weekend I'm arguing or debating with Chelsea fans about Man City, and they're saying, oh, we can't let this carry on. Man City have won a 4-peat. When are we going to be offended by this? How long are we going to let this go? It's becoming a farmers league. And I'm saying, you can't complain about Manchester City's consistent success and then at the same time get excited about signing the next 17-year-old, because you do realize that's going to take 3-4 years minimum for them to become ready for title-winning credentials, right? So if you're not looking to add experience to this team and improve upon this starting 11, and treat some of the young players in this team like young players and put, experienced, durable, but consistent players in front of them to challenge them, to up the level of the team. If you're going to treat the young wingers that we have as seniors and buy young wingers underneath them, then why are we offended by Manchester City's success, Younes? Like we have to understand that we're in a project. It's going to take time, and therefore we have to suck it up and watch them lift leagues, because I ain't going to watch nobody else do it.
No, you're completely right. And this is where, look, I genuinely feel like people always want to try and take or see things as an extreme. It's got to be one extreme or the other. And that's not the case. For example, let's talk about this experience thing, right? And I've been a huge advocate this entire season of we need to bring in some experience into this team because it's screaming for it. That doesn't mean that's going to be the story every season. It needs, that's it. You get in 2 or 3 players that are going to help elevate the levels of this team. And then the team that we've assembled, which are all young lads, right, that need that example to look up to, are going to turn into the experience later down the line. That's going to turn into the core, but they need players to look up to, and they need ones that are going to set the example. They can't do it all on their own. If not, as you've said, Matisse, right now, yes, we're going to keep relying on kids. We're going to keep watching City lift leagues, and we're going to wait 3-4 years to maybe try and turn it around. Whereas if we do this one thing now that will help all of these young guys we've got in the squad, eventually those ones are going to be the ones to take the baton later on, and that's going to go for the long term. That's the one that's going to run the team for the next 10 years or something. It has to be done once. Why we don't see it that way, I'm talking about the club, or I don't understand. The same goes for the managerial market here. We're looking at young lads because we want to try and, think super, super long term. Want to fix the now, and the long will come. So honestly, I feel like people see it as one extreme or the other. The other extreme that I'm seeing is this whole thing about Poch wanting to have a say, wanting to be in, in terms of transfers, negotiations, all that sort of stuff, recruitment, let's say recruitment, he wants full control. Who said he wants full control? This is the misconception I'm seeing over the last 24 hours. No one's saying he wants full control.
Just wants to say.
He wants to be on the table. He wants to be acknowledged. And the collaboration that there should be, and this is where, again, people have this misconception that Klopp at Liverpool, he just listened to upstairs. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And we all know that. You don't think Klopp had say in terms of players that were coming at Liverpool. Klopp, in the same way people don't think Pep has a say on the table at City. Come on. Now, it's not all down to him. The collaboration it doesn't mean what Chelsea are trying to do here clearly is that, the directors and the recruitment team are constantly above the manager, and you're just going to sit there and we might hear you from time to time, but you've got no say in the decision making. The collaboration should be that the manager is on the table with the recruitment staff to help make the decision. That way, if there's a compromise between everybody, everyone's on the same page to move forward in one direction. So then down the line, no one can say anything or go, see, I told you, you should have done it this way. Like, if everyone's come to a collective decision on a way, even if it means that a compromise has to be made by the directors or by the manager in terms of getting a player or getting a set of players or going in one direction, it means that everyone's on the same page. It doesn't mean that the directors go, hey, Poch, what do you think? All right, now whatever he says doesn't really matter. Like, no. This is why now we're in a situation with Gallagher and Chalobah. Clearly, Pochettino would love to keep them. Doesn't look like the club want to keep them because we want to make money. And even if we're trying to make money, we're putting Chalobah up, apparently, I hope this isn't true, for 25 million. Like, that's a flipping insult, in the same way that I hope the Mckenna news isn't true right now. Because there has been, and I've seen, there could be a push from his side to try and get Brighton to act quickly. And this could all be just like a smokescreen. It better be a smokescreen. Because if we're thinking of changing Pots for someone like Mckenna, we are on something strong. At Cobham. It's not even fun. So this is where that collaboration has to actually be what the word means, like other clubs are doing. Not we are completely going to override the manager whenever we feel like it. That's not collaboration. So, and I hope that the same thing is acknowledged when it comes to the team and the players that we do need to help elevate all of these young players that we do have that will eventually take the team by the cusp of the neck later. So
Just to add on to that before other panelists go, just on what Younes just said, the collaboration, it's so true. You have to have some level of collaboration. Right now, what I feel like is happening is our owners and our board, they're thinking in one way. They're building this team in one way, and they just expect Pochettino to run with that. Just keep your mouth shut and run with that. I'm sorry. This is where I feel like the mismatch has happened. Poch is not that type of a manager. You can't just give him any players and just say, run with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is a lot of mismatch of players that don't fit his style of football. So this is why I'm now worried that are they actually going to now pull the trigger and just go, do you know what? Yeah, we hired you, but I think we made a mistake. Or maybe Poch says, thank you for hiring me. I think there's a mismatch here. You know, I need certain players to continue my work, but you don't want to give me those certain players. You've got your own mindset. So go for a coach that's going to be able to match your recruitment, the kind of players you're recruiting. It's got, because honestly, that's what it all comes down to. It's got to match, lads. You can't have a manager playing a certain way and buying players that simply don't go hand in hand with that. So, yeah.
I would love nothing more, Baba, for us to have a window similar to what we had in Mourinho's second season. I think it was in 2014-15. And it was in comes Fabregas,
Felipe Luis.
Yeah, Felipe Luis and Costa. And I don't know if there was anyone else. And we just maybe Courtois was that Courtois' first season as well? No.
From loan. Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, he came back from loan. Yeah,
we were knocked out to
yeah,
Atletico Madrid. Yeah, in the previous year, but in between the either side of the Liverpool game. I'd love nothing more for us to just bring in those 3-4 players that will just come into this team, and as soon as they come through the door, this group who have talent and have potential, they just look at them and think, okay. Shit just got real. Now we're at Chelsea.
But you know what, Matisse? The three players that you've mentioned, Fabregas, experienced player with Arsenal and Barcelona at that point of time when we signed him. Felipe Luis, league winner with Atletico Madrid and Champions League finalist the season before. And same with Diego Costa as well with Atletico Madrid. So I don't think so that we can now sign players of these caliber who have won a league in the top 5 leagues or are playing in the Champions League semi-finals or finals, simply because we aren't there. Reason number one. Secondly, the fiasco around the manager. I think the players will lose faith in the project because they have been sold one thing and are now being delivered another thing. Because now when you see everything is right with Pochettino, everything is starting to fall into place. Players seems to trust him. We had discussed this, I don't know, 4 or 5 shows back when we had lost to Arsenal, or I don't know. We had a lot of emergency meetings this season. I don't even remember which one. But we had discussed in one of the meetings that we think Poch has lost the dressing room or players don't want to play for him. Clearly, that is not the case. That what we've seen in the last 5 games. So now that the chemistry is there, the bond is building between the players and the manager. Just because you don't want the manager to have a say in transfers, you decide to part ways with him. If that is the way you are thinking, I don't know if we would be able to compete for the Europa League spots from the next season. Because Cole Palmer would be like, I had a 1 great season. I was your top scorer. Next season, his individual quality is such, he'll have another 15 to 20 goal season. Third season, he would be like, I want to leave for Barcelona. I want to leave for Real Madrid. I want to leave for Bayern Munich. So, and we will become a feeder club like Dortmund. And I've said this countless times that this ownership wants to make us a feeder club like Dortmund or a Leipzig. Like they are all about Brighton and, multi-club model. Like we'll be like Leipzig, Salzburg and all of those things. what is common in all these clubs? They are feeder clubs for the bigger clubs.
They
They are
flip players.
economic. Yeah, they flip players for big profits. So they will be competitive in their own leagues in terms of getting a top 4, winning a cup here and there. You'll have one exciting season depending on the crop of young players that you have in that particular season. And that's about it. It would be a miracle. Like Dortmund took 11 years to reach the Champions League final, right? And this season also they finished 5th in their league. So it's not like Dortmund are having a brilliant season like a Leverkusen, or they're having a top-notch season. Okay, they deserve to be in the Champions League final, but it took them 11 years to reach there, right? And you never know what players they'll keep next season, what players they'll be losing to some of the other clubs in Europe. And that is what I think Chelsea will be if this thing continues. I don't think so.
And Baba, what's the commonality in the managerial positions as well in those clubs?
Young managers, potential managers, project
This
managers.
is why I said we are doing the Brighton model at a bigger scale because it's a bigger club. Do you know what I mean? Or else I don't understand why we are not in the mix of getting a top caliber manager if we are parting ways with Poch. Why are we not going out there and buying top calibrated players? Look, I've got nothing against, Paez and Esteban Willian, but are we seriously thinking these players are going to waltz into the Premier League and Premier League defenders are just going to go, yeah, run circles around me, please? Do
One
your
body check and
rainbow
it's
tricks.
over.
Well, Ms. If they are, and I'm again, this is quotations according to journalists from South America and the club maybe in the reports. If they are generational talents like Yamal at Barca, then yes, I would expect them to come in and maybe not immediately, but within the first 6 to 12 months of adaptation, I would expect to start seeing quality from them for sure. But that's not pressure I'm putting on them. That's pressure that the media are putting on them. That's pressure that these buzzwords, generational and the next Neymar and the next Ronaldinho, that's the pressure if you look at Neymar at 18 at Santos, I know he didn't move to Barca until 21, but you could see the talent at 18 for sure. Yeah. I think he was making Ballon d'Or lists at Santos before he even left. So, if you're generational, if you're absolutely cannot miss out on those players, then we should see something. It shouldn't be Strasbourg level, Andre Santos. No. Shouldn't have to go there. Should be seeing something 100%. Otherwise, it was not, a bigger deal as people made out. There's so many places to take this, man, because when people are talking about experienced players, there's a lot of people, before I go through the super chats, a lot of people talking about experienced players, wherever the experienced players got us. I agree. We have to dissect, though, each individual experienced player and go through the reasons as to why they maybe didn't perform, because we can't just say all experienced players. And I think when people hear experience, they hear age 28 to 35-year-olds. Or now, no one's mentioning Thiago Silva. That's the definition of the type of experience people actually want. A title winner, a Champions League winner, a legend.
For example, Nacho on a free, I would love that. Nacho on a free, I would love that from Real Madrid.
But let me just go through the examples. Chilwell, you have Chilwell, right? Coming off the back of multiple injuries, right? We know that he's dropping off in terms of his quality. He can't be consistently fit. It's taken too much of a toll on his body, whatever. He's not the level required anymore, in my opinion, at starting left back. Sterling, I always asked, what was the motivation for coming here? Not to move closer to your family and be more comfortable. I mean, from a career achievement standpoint, not from a monetary gain standpoint, money wise. I'm talking about, what is your reason? You've won everything at Man City. Why are you coming to Chelsea? Is it to propel this team? Is it to lead this team? In my opinion, it hasn't been a great job in terms of leading this team when I'm seeing these 3v1s and 2v1s. When he says he wants to be part of this project is only going to start kicking off seriously in terms of trophies by the time he's dusted. So I don't get his motivation for being here. I question that from the get-go. The Sassy, he doesn't turn quick enough, right? If you're talking about you want to play a high line, if you want to play a counter-pressing team, you need fast centre-backs. So systematically, he don't even suit the team. His best performance was away to Man City when we dropped the line. We sat in our box and we headed balls out of the 6-yard box. In my opinion, that's what he's good for. If you put him in a in a team that sits off and has less space in behind, like a West Ham under Moyes. I think he does brilliantly. He's not a terrible defender, just a wrong system, wrong team, in my opinion. So but when I say experience, even to meet them in the middle, because they like young players. Elise's been kicking, and I know I keep going on about Elise, but I rate the player, so fuck it. I've put my stocks down, and I'm not even talking about we need this position. I'm just giving an example. Elise has been playing in the Premier League for 3 consecutive seasons. That's more than Caicedo when we signed him, right? That at 22 is experience. He's been playing 3 campaigns.
100%.
3 campaigns. Everybody knows that this player comes in and immediately starts on our right-hand side. He immediately improves on Madueke. It's not even a competition, right?
Not even a question.
It's not even a competition. He's played the 26 games in 21-22. He's played the 37 games last season, and he's played the 19 games this season. I know people talk about injury record. I would ask people to extract Roy Hodgson from his injuries record and then look at what he does under other managers outside of Roy Hodgson when he's not rushing him back. He's had no injuries under this new manager. He didn't have many issues under Patrick Vieira. But that's besides the point, right? If you think he's injury prone, you can think he's injury prone. I personally think he's mismanaged and brought back too soon, like many of our players are. But this is just an example. That is a player that improves our team immediately and on that pitch gives us more than Madueke and therefore gives us more chances of winning games and getting points. From set pieces, delivery-wise, from crossing, from long shots, from creativity. Go and look at his numbers. Go and look at his metrics. Not just this season. This has happened last season. Go and look at his metrics for chances created. So, again, it's just an example. But that's. I'm not saying we need a right winger for people. Listen, I'm saying we need, we need people that are going to lift the team. And that is someone that lifts the team. And I'm talking about that for other positions. You can go to other positions and bring in those type of players. Even players that are in the lower half of the table, we know there is quality there because we've lost to it. And we know that when Liverpool and Edwards go scouting, they will bring in a Tosin from Fulham on a free. They will bring in a Robertson from Hull City. It's not about, I'm not saying they have to be undisputedly world class in the people's eyes. And I'm not saying they have to be 28 to 35 years old. But what I am saying is if you bring in people that have ambition to want to win trophies, have shown the quality in the Premier League for a couple of seasons, and are at an age where they can pass on some Premier League experience to other players, and they have the monetary incentive to improve and to perform like Liverpool do with their wage structure, like we are doing, not what Sterling is on, because obviously he was brought under Todd Bowie's sporting director little, frenzy in the first summer. You're more likely to achieve in this league. You're more likely to achieve some sort of better points tally, some more tangible success, because now you're kind of ticking more boxes. So I don't know, man. I think it's an interesting one, but now I'm just going to open the floor. So are we all saying that based upon the shortlist that we're seeing, which has gone from Thomas Frank to now we're seeing Mckenna. I think we were seeing De Zerbi in bits and pieces. We've seen loads of other people. Is everybody just saying, right, just give Poch 10 games? Because just to play devil's advocate, people will say, why waste another year with someone who's shown for the whole season, 85% of the season, that the team is not playing even better than championship teams, is not playing, not killing teams like Burnley and Sheffield United with the talent that we have, not beating teams, as he should be. He's not taking responsibility on the substitutions, or he's not making early enough changes in terms of his in-game management. He's not disciplining the penalty situation. Like, what do you guys think of that?
Just quickly before Javon goes in, I'm not saying that don't just give him the 10 games and that's it. No, I'm actually saying if you're gonna give him next season, whether it's 10 games, whether it's 15 games, don't handicap him. If you're going to give him the opportunity to manage Chelsea next season, you can't also then strip off Gallagher, Chalobah, players that he wants to keep. Because that's counterproductive. If that's the case, you have to sack Poch then. You have to. You can't keep the guy, take everything away from him, his money, his wallet, his pants, his shirt, and just leave him in his underwear and just go now go and go to office, go to your office, rock up like that, and perform, hit all your KPIs. You can't do that. I'm sorry. So it's not just about giving him 10 games. It's about are you actually going to listen to how he wants to play football? Do you know what I mean? And if you can't do that, then part ways.
My issue with all of this is strictly just who's out there. The grass doesn't look greener on the other side. When I look outside, I'm seeing concrete. I'm not seeing grass, if I'm being honest. And that's the only reason why I'm saying give Poch more time. Because if you're not going to bring in somebody of world-class level or someone that has a proven track record that you can say, you know what, if you give this guy the reins, he's going to definitely take this team forward based on his work. I can't tell you to then go ahead and sack someone who has an upturn in results, right? Yes, mistakes were made with Poch. Yes, his decision makings were horrendous and horrible at times, but there is something there based on how we finished the season to build on, and that's just where I stand. Going into this transfer window, you need to give him additions that will enable him to make a better impact than he did last season. Going into this new season, you have to then give him guarantees, such as if he wants players like Gallagher, players that are more durable, you have to find players that are more durable. Because a big issue in our season that just ended was the injury issues, right? At one point we've had 14 players out. We cannot have another season like that, because then we'll virtually be in the same position. A set of 11 cannot win you 38 games consecutively. You're going to need your bench. You're going to need different quality for different types of games in different moments of games. So that's another thing that has to rectify itself before the start of the season, because some of those injured players will feel like a new signing, will feel like you can be more flexible or have more fluidity in your decision making, and in your management. And then you go ahead and add maybe a striker, definitely a goalkeeper, and a left back. And then don't just go out, and from what I've seen from this club, don't just go out and get the hottest name that's injury prone. Like Osimhen, for example. I like the guy, but his injury record at Napoli is absolutely horrible. Go out and get someone like Gyökeres. This is just an example. Or I'm not a scout, so I can't tell you who exactly you're going to get, but I'm going to give you a name. Gyökeres, who has a proven track record in Benfica. Right?
Sporting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Porto, yeah. Or is it Sporting? Sporting. Go out there and get me someone like that. Right? If you say you want to keep it young, you can still get young, experienced players. You cannot, like Miss says, you cannot handicap the manager. And on top of that, you cannot start the season with the same injury issues you had with the medical department. It's just nonsensical. It's going to be a whole vicious cycle all over again, despite whoever you bring in. Because if you bring in these players and you can't keep them fit, what's the point? And then players are not going to want to come to Chelsea, because you're going, when they speak to agents, the agents are going to say, when I give you my player, when my player comes to your club, you're not going to take care of him. So what are we doing?
It's such a madness, man. It's such a madness, people, because I feel so many mixed emotions right now, because I'm really not happy with the season we just had. But there's so many layers to it. I don't know who's at fault for the injuries. I'm going to go through the super chats anyway now. But people feel like they know what is the reason for the injuries. I have said all season, I have no idea what the hell is going on. I have no idea. I don't know if it's the physios. I don't know if it's the recovery team that's meant to be, deciding how and when they come back. They are getting injured when we're not even playing matches. Is it the training? Is it the rehabilitation period? Is it, I don't know what it is. I don't know if Younes, if you got an opinion on that, but that I feel like it's so important, because if it is the manager, You can't just keep getting our talent injured. That's absurd. But I also do feel that the players that we've signed are quite fragile and they're not in line with Pochettino's training methods. What Pochettino does from a training standpoint, it's not the first time I've heard a manager do morning sessions or do a session before the match. Klopp, you know, his team, people say, you know, how much, you know, how much toll their season takes on them and how much he'll break them down over years and years. You need durable, you know, strong physical players to play in that system. You can't be fragile. You can't be off the back of a massive injury. You can't be off the back of consistent injuries at previous clubs. We've signed quite a few players that are fragile. So from a technical and systematic standpoint, in terms of the players that we've signed, I don't think we've signed players that suit the manager in terms of they're more technical than P&P. And I think he prefers to have a lot more P&P in the team. And I don't even begrudge that because, and I said to Javon yesterday, he is the only person in the club who knows how to get an 80-point plus season under their belt. That's the scary thing. Nobody in the board, nobody in the director's box, nobody who really even, not many who even play for us at this point, right? Apart from a couple of maybe Reece James and Chalobah. Actually, no, not even them. We've never hit an 80-point season plus since Conte when he won the title. The only person in this club who's actually got 80 points plus seasons under their belt is the manager. And again, I'm not just fighting his case because at this point, if he was to be sacked, I don't think he could sit there and say, damn, this is, I can take no responsibility. But at the same time, there's others that have to take responsibility as well. And which is why it boils down to the players for me. I feel bad for them the most, less so than the manager, more the players, because if they have to get a whole new manager coming in the summer and learn a whole new system and a whole new way of playing, and it takes them time to learn all that, they were just starting to feel comfortable under this manager. They were just starting to feel stable. And who knows, even if the system isn't A1 next season, just the players being more stable, having this season under their belts with this manager, knowing how he works, how he operates, plus improving the medical side, you could actually get top 4 on that alone without the system being A1. And then go and get a manager, or maybe if you can get yourself in the top 4. It's an example. It's not going to happen. As Xabi Alonso, if that's what people want, right? He's started incredibly well in his career. Someone that you feel is maybe going to take this team to another level, maybe, in terms of he might suit the group a lot more. I don't know. But yeah, Younes, what was you going to say, bro?
No, in terms of the medical situation, I was quite divided on what to think. I think, like most of us, we genuinely, especially at one point, thinking, what the hell is going on? Like, this is just crazy. And to a point where maybe it's a collective of issues all at the same time. But I feel like there's one key thing this is just me thinking out loud, that screams some alarm bells. Firstly, Poch's training methods has a track record. If we go to PSG and before, of maybe being quite hard, right? So that is one thing to take into consideration. But I have to flip it as well. If the medical team are doing their jobs properly, is it not up to them to be able to monitor those training sessions and to tell Pochettino, listen, this needs to be amended, this needs to be amended, this isn't working, you're injuring this player, this is causing this. It's gone on for the entire season and nothing's really changed much. But I do want to add another caveat. There's two things that scream to me and think, you know what, maybe it's not all down on Poch in terms of his training methodology. I do think that players, and I agree with you, Matisse, I do think to an extent in this generation, there are more players that are more, you could say, brittle, softer than before, right? At the same time, you could argue there are more games, there's, a higher demand, etc., right? But Poch's methods and the way that he trains, there's two things. Firstly, we know the medical department have been switched up completely by the ownership, right? So is there even any stability going on there? God knows. In terms of the players getting injured, the frequency that they're getting injured, right? When you're looking at the medical team and you're looking to what they should be doing, and a key example is Enzo. We now know Enzo was playing on injections for how many months? Who approves that? Who goes, yeah, good idea. Play on injections. It's ridiculous. I can't think of a manager that would just tag along and just accept that. I think it's crazy. So who approves that? Who allows someone like Enzo to just go on injection after injection after injection? It's crazy. It doesn't make sense to me. That starts with the medical team because that's the source.
Just quickly on that, he could have probably seriously injured himself long term.
He said that himself. He said that he regrets it because it could have harmed him. I agree, absolutely. That could do serious damage long term.
Do you reckon these are certain things maybe the owners might have picked up? Like, that's a big asset for an owner. Like, that's a 115 million asset that potentially could have damaged long term.
Exactly. Things like this can seriously have ramifications going forward, and especially for him at his age, right? And the level that he's playing at. You do that much damage just to get rid of pain, it's a huge risk. But on top of that, I have to put this on a psychological level. Yeah, think from it from the player's standpoint. If you're a player and you're being put through hell, right? Are you really going to expect the entire squad to still be behind the manager in the way that they're behind him now? It doesn't really add up for me. If the players are unhappy at constantly being injured and constantly being overworked, are they all going to back him? This is why I had doubts at one part of the season that he's going to lose the dressing room at this point. He hasn't. It's the complete opposite. Yeah. We're seeing players coming out in praise. They're all behind him. They're playing for him. So is it really down to his training methods? Because if not, they'd be hating their lives right now, wouldn't they? That's just an observation that I've made recently. Yeah, it doesn't add up. So this is where I look to the medical team. And I think now it's making more sense that it's probably lying more with Den than it is with Poch.
And another point to add is that we've had injuries prior to him. You know, we know the players that have been injured prior to him, whether it's be Pulisic, Kovacic, Kante, the way we managed him, Loftus-Cheek, Hudson-Odoi. You know, we can keep going. So Chilwell and James, obviously massive injuries. They were before him, and they can't really be counted as being under him because we know that those were long-term issues. So, and we have signed fragile players, but I remember the press conference he did when people actually asked him about the injury issues and whether it's down to his training methods, and he was so offended. He was so offended. Like he was like, you think me at this age managing this many clubs, big man like me, don't know how to manage players? I swear if I slap you around this press conference room right now. But anyway, let's go through some of these super chats. Glad that new owners will go for next gen manager. Experienced managers are mostly dinosaurs. Modern ones are needed, especially with Pires and Esteval. Listen, I don't believe that we should be going for Contes, Mourinho's. Who else is there? Those guys. I don't think we should be going for those guys.
Thomas Tuchel.
No, I don't put Thomas Tuchel in that bracket. I'll be honest. But he did have a shambolic. I'll be real. He did have a shambolic end to that Bundesliga. You can't be finishing third. Like I can only stick up for you so much. That shit was ridiculous. I'll be real. That shit was ridiculous. But I think, like with everything, it's a balance. Like you know, I'm not saying they have to want 31, 32, 33-year-olds. But I'm saying at the same time, can you at least sign experienced young players? If you're signing young players, at least let them be players that have been around the block for 3-4 years, because you can get that. You know.
See, this Pochettino thing, the meeting that he's about to have with the owners will, you know, reveal everything that we need to know. We are still having this benefit of doubt towards the owners. We are giving them this benefit of doubt. All of that will be cleared in the next 10-15 days.
It won't, because you know what's going to happen? Briefing on briefing on briefing on briefing on briefing on briefing on briefing. How can we protect the establishment? How can we protect our institution? Hey, listen, I'm not even ready for this. If he goes, thank you for becoming a member, brother. If he goes, the first report that's going to come out is, we were never really sure on him in the first place. We only hired him because we didn't get this guy, and this was always kind of brewing under the behind the scenes, and he's been responsible for the injuries.
One thing would be clear. If he's let go, we'll be clear about one thing, that they are not here to win any kind of trophies. They are just here to make money. So like we are still giving them the benefit of doubt. Okay, they have a strategy. They are signing these young players. Maybe 3-4 years down the line, this group of players will become champions together. They'll be experienced together. They'll win stuff together. So we'll be clear about this. If that is their intention, or their intention is to sign these players, keep them at Chelsea, use the Chelsea brand name to boost these players' prices, keep Chelsea a top 5, top 6 club, top 4 at best. Don't win big trophies, shoot up the prices of these players and sell them for big profits. This I'm talking about. This clarity we will get in this summer transfer window.
I think for me that will come if they sell a Cole Palmer for 100 and
They'll
100
definitely
million.
sell Cole Palmer. They'll
If
definitely
they-
sell Cole Palmer.
So I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't have that guarantee right now if they were to sack the manager. But I think if they were to sell a Cole Palmer or someone like
After giving him a contract extension, like they'll
Yes.
give him another 17-year contract extension.
or Paulo
then-
Gusto, those are the two players that have been, the most for what we paid. They are the ones that have increased in value the most. In my opinion, they've at least doubled what we paid. So if a bid was to come in from Real Madrid, say Real Madrid need a right back, and Malo Gusto is not even kicking up a fuss. Fuck that. It's just they have put in a bid of 85 million, or not 80 million. Let's be reasonable. They put in a 65, 70 million pound bid, whatever. That's probably still not reasonable, but I need to say something big. And they accept it.
I think 60
Then-
million is reasonable.
60, yeah, 60, 65, 60. Yeah, and they accept it, then and they've made double their money, then yeah, then it's like what are we really doing here? Let me fly through these there because there's actually a load of them. We'll get back to the
I have a question once you finish.
yeah, definitely. Football is heading in a direction where it's less about manager name, CV, more about philosophy relative to squad profile. Welcome, Javon. Big up, brother. Always on the playback. Sack Poch, then bring in what inexperienced gaff. Shaking my head, says Brian. We should all jump on Football Manager. We can use this on our CV to apply for the Chelsea manager job and chalk it off as an inexperienced.
Might as well.
Brother, I was sacked at Chelsea, but what I'm doing with Strasbourg, as you guys know, what I've been doing with Strasbourg on my career mode is something quite incredible. I've been developing young players, but at the same time, I'm about to close in on a title. So
You're a mid-table team manager, Matisse.
It's experience first.
To be fair to the club, all the noise is that they want to keep Poch, but not make hasty decisions. Either way, the priority is to keep Poch. I don't know what the noise is telling me right now. I've heard so much things at the moment. The main contention is the signings. Poch shouldn't have 100% say. I agree with that. Ideally, he asked for the profile, facts of the player. DOF and the team get the options. Ultimately, Poch picks and vetoes them. Absolute power. Either way is terrible. I could not agree with this comment. I could not agree with this comment more.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be.
The way you've articulated it there, you wrapped up the whole convo. Beautiful.
But just quickly, I get the feeling what's happening is Poch might be saying the kind of profile, because I don't know whether he actually saying particular individuals. I think he's saying the profiles, and then the DOF is coming, yeah, here, look, the profile you wanted, it's this. And Poch is looking, that's not the profile.
You know what the thing is? We used to do this all the time under Roman, when we used to sign players left, right, and center without even manager's approval, right? But at least manager used to know what player is coming in. Like, for example, we did not need Torres at that point of time, in my opinion, when we got him for 50 million pounds, or Shevchenko, or some of the other players that we used to sign in that time.
Shevchenko is a perfect example. Jose didn't know he was coming.
Jose did not know he was coming.
He found him at Cobham. So,
So I personally feel that we have done this before, but there was always a world-class manager around, and the core was so great of the team that no matter what players you sign, you will get results. Like the core, the spine of the team was always there, right? You had your Lampards, your JTs, your Ashley Coles, Peter Cechs, your Drogbas. So it didn't matter what players.
Also, the players, Baba. Also, the players that were coming in were like Shevchenko, Torres. They're not people that you don't know. Do you know? What I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that has happened at Chelsea, but the context was very different. That is what I'm trying to say. Right now, you cannot do that with the players that we have right now. We have enough players as it is. We need to develop them. We need to play them together. We need to develop a chemistry between them. And we have 1,500 players on loan. and we have signed another 2-3 players. I don't know what the plan is. And the thing that you said, Miss, about that Estevao, Willian, and Kendry Paez, that these players are guaranteed starters. Like, they have been signed, they have been sold this project that you will be starting the games once you arrive.
Yes.
So I don't know how any manager will work under those circumstances.
This is what I mean. Like, that's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad for a manager to go, you have to accept this.
So
What if
I don't
Poch goes,
know.
you may think he's a talent, but he may not work for me?
I don't know what do they mean by getting on the same page. Like, how do you get on the same page with all of these things happening simultaneously?
Even the greatest manager of all time, or at least the greatest manager in our generation, Ferguson and Pep, those two, they wouldn't part with this. So
no way.
I have a feeling that what we've done this season have given the owners a confidence that what they did in the transfer window was right, and it was down to the players, not the manager. The 6th place finish, it happened because of the players only, not because of the manager. So that gives them that extra power or extra confidence to keep on doing what they're doing. That is what I feel. Like, they have achieved European football in their 2nd season of ownership, and it's an improvement, if you like it or not, from 12th to 6th. If we play Europa League, they'll be like, okay, Europa League qualification, 6th place finish, 12th we were last season, Carabao Cup final and FA Cup semi-final. So it's an improvement, and it is down to the players, not the manager. So we will keep on doing this. We will keep on signing players. I think that is something that they are thinking, because I cannot, the math is not mathing right now. That is what I'm saying. It's not adding up.
Let me just go back through some of these super chats. Where was we? Martian says we need to keep him. I fear sacking him will take us back a step more to gain at this stage with continuity next season than starting again. 2 directors should go first, then Lukaku ASAP, says Brian.
Oh, Lukaku, fuck, man, I forgot about Lukaku.
Big up for the super chat. Is not on it, but much appreciated for the support. If they sack Poch, who actually made a lot of progress, for someone like Mckenna, I swear to God, somebody is using our club to launder money. Another point that was made as well is that they're firing managers at a higher rate than Roman. So how many managers are going to keep seeing the situation and be more? Some managers have already been turned off. Some managers that people would have wanted, the Enriques or the Nagelsmanns, they've already been maybe turned away or turned off by this current regime. If you was to sack another manager inside one season again, and again, I'm just trying to explain the other side of it, where Pep didn't come to Roman's empire purely because we sacked too many managers. So we could be, people want Xabi Alonso, or like I said, he's like one of the leading up and coming, Thiago Motta, right? People want these guys, Inzaghi, I don't know who it is, but these guys may simply reject us purely because of how many managers we sack. And that has got to be something that is considered. We're sacking managers at a higher rate than any team in Europe, any top team in Europe. It's gone beyond Roman and Real Madrid, but it's insane how many managers we're going through already.
And nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it, exactly. And it's not world-class players you're dealing with. It's young players, injury-ridden squad, but you can still hold that regardless. You can still have to hold that P45. If you don't, what is it winning? No. By the way, you don't need to actually win any silverware to improve your own CV. You just need to make top 4. What kind of trade-off is that? Injuries, young players who need bare development and can't give me instant results, a demanding fan base with a whole heap of toxicity in it half the time, and I'm not even getting world-class players and trophies out of this. I basically just need to meet your criteria and then get sacked regardless. Like, it's not the most appetizing, and I can't have no say on signings, and I can't even have no say on how to build my team. I'm not gonna lie, it ain't the most appetizing shit I've ever seen. I'll be real. There's a lot of other jobs that are more appetizing, purely on a working relationship standpoint, in terms of just dealings, how to actually run a proper team. It ain't looking fun. Unless that injury situation gets sorted next season, people are going to look at that alone and think, what is this? Enzo Hernia, the real MVP. Besides Elise, where are you going to find those 4 or 5 experienced players who have also got quality and very attainable for Chelsea? There isn't a lot out there. I know me and Javon have been debating Robert a whole heap on playback. Sorry, let me just, because I think there was some background noise, but you're back there, Javon. Go on, bro.
No, like I'm not even gonna address it, bro. To be honest, if you can take a look at not only the Premier League and other leagues and tell me there's not players like Elise that can come into the squad and have an immediate impact to improve the squad, then you're tapped, bro. Like, with all due respect, Robert, you need to go ahead and do some research and come back to me. Don't come to me with the foolishness, please. Try again, go again, come again. Don't do that, bro. Don't do that.
I miss Roman, man. Seriously, miss Roman. We never had these problems back in the day. Miss old Chelsea so much. Feels like so many injuries happening in training. Like I said, I would need to be there to know, but it needs sorting out next season, because there's no point in bringing in these players if they're just going to get injured anyway. We brought in Lavia. I was so excited to see Lavia after what I'd seen at Southampton, the performances against City, against Arsenal last season. I think he played more minutes than any other under 21 player in the entire league, and then we see him for 15 minutes next season. That alone has given me severe PTSD. I can't really get too excited about players coming in if I don't even know if they're going to play. We're not just we don't want these players just so we have them on the next edition of EAFC or Football Manager. I want to see them in real life. I want to see them in person. You know, if they're not going to play, then what's the point? On transfers, last summer we were linked with Elise until Palace shut that down and we got Palmer instead. A player, by the way, who was critical for Poch's system. I believe that was a collaborative effort. Yeah, some people have said that he wanted Dybala. Some people have said that Joe Shields was the one, or not. Was it Joe Shields that went and got Palmer instead? I think it was, yeah, because of Man City ties. So yeah. I don't know who wanted who and what wanted what, bro. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just know that Joe Shields was heavily involved in that deal. Who else was involved in that deal? I don't know if it was Poch or if the other directors also. I'm guessing everybody had to say yes for him to come in. Guys, Poch isn't Chelsea level. I agree, but most of our players aren't Chelsea level either. The standards have dropped. Sad and shameful. Instead of poaching from Brighton, we should get West Ham's entire medical team. Only 8 injuries all season. I didn't know that. It's quite an impressive stat. Even if you're Poch out, Poch can be Ranieri before our Mourinho comes in. That was always meant for me when I wanted him to come in last summer. That was always meant to be kind of his remit. That was his remit. You're not. I'm not expecting you to pick up a Prem. I'll be honest. I don't think you're that level of manager. But maybe you could shock us. I'd love it if you could. Absolutely love it. But I don't think that's where you're taking us. I don't think you're taking us to a Champions League winning trophy, even though he's been in and amongst these positions in previous years, obviously with Tottenham. But bring us up to a level where we have come firmly out of the mud. We have developed players to a level where they are also ready to kick on, and then someone is finishing off the job. And I think that would be a job well done if he was to just carry the can, so to speak. And that's why he's on a 2-year deal. I wouldn't have put him on any longer. 2 years with an option of 1. I think it's the perfect length. For once, when it comes to contracts at this club, I think that contract is actually the right contract. Not a 7-year, 8-year, not whatever. What did we give Potter? 5 years? Fuck it.
5 years. 12 million a year.
Fuck it. That deal is one of the worst deals.
And 22 million to break the contract.
Listen. Yeah. If I go dash these pens in this webcam,
can't get anything right.
That is one of the worst contracts. Forget if you even thought he was a really talented coach. Just on the basis that he's never managed at this level before. He's not Carlo Ancelotti. He's not Pep. And to give him a 5-year deal at 12 million. Oh Lord. And this is what I'm saying.
And they sacked Tuchel to get him. Like, I could understand if you sacked like a Kieran McKenna to get Potter. Like, they sacked Tuchel.
Bro. And this is why I always go back to that point in time being wrong. I remember when he was sacked, Tuchel. I never wanted him to be sacked, right? But even if the board and the manager were falling out, just bide your time. Get directors in before you make the managerial change. Let them make the managerial change. Let them spearhead the sporting side of the club. And I've apologized for the Poch thing. I've apologized for many things, but I never wanted that man sacked. And I never wanted Potter. I remember I was attending a funeral for a lost family relative on the day that Tuchel was sacked. So I couldn't respond to the Tuchel sacking on the same day. I then responded the day after. By the time I'd responded, they'd fucking already hired Potter.
Hired Potter the same day.
Bro, I was like, what is going on at the club, bruv?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it was a mad time. It was a mad... And I know we have to move on and we don't want to reminisce, but I'll be real. That is the beginning of where we are now. Like that is the moment in time when all left, bro. Because I can't even judge the Sterlings, Aubameyangs, and Koulibalys too harshly. Because they were signed under one manager, and then they were next thing you know under another. So as much as we want to call that summer a complete flop and L, I'd even like to put an asterisk on it. Because Cucurella as well, they weren't even under the manager they were signed for more than a week. I think Aubameyang played like 1.5 matches or maybe one game.
Nah, Aubameyang
played
played
57 minutes.
57 minutes.
Against Dynamo Kiev.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I can't even really... it's mad. It's a madness. I think we were 5th when we sacked him at the time. I think we were 5th. We're now 5th now.
Yep.
No, sorry, we're 6th. We haven't even got back to that position. What is my profile picture? It's just pure revenge. That's all it is. It's nothing more than revenge. Poch isn't good enough. He's the same guy that had Cole at left back, Chilwell at left wing, Enzo in the 10, ignoring the entire season for 5 games is nuts. I don't think anybody is... I know people that strongly want Poch out, irregardless of who the next manager is, irregardless of the shortlist, irregardless of if it's McKenna or McDonald had a farm, or they don't, you know. I know the guys that are repping it on their hashtags and on their titles and their names. You need to listen. There's no point making points that people already know and people already agree with, because all you're doing is you're just trying to, I don't know, you're just trying to get angry for nothing. Nobody here on this show was justifying any of these players being played out of position. In fact, we were calling it out as it was happening. I remember even when we were winning games and I was seeing Enzo making runs off the striker, I was getting pissed off. And people were telling me, oh, it's to, create separation because we need to. I said, brother, that's the wrong guy to do it. If you want to do that, get Gallagher to do that. At least get the right guy doing that. Because he cannot be doing that shit. We didn't pay 105 million for that brother to be running in behind. That is not long term. That is not even medium term. So nobody's justifying this stuff. And nobody is saying we're just looking at the last 5 games. No one has said that. No one said that. And I don't think even many people in the chat that want Poch to stay for another season are disregarding the 32 games or the 33 games. I don't think anybody's sitting there saying, yeah, just forget the fact that we were 12th for the whole season. You know, it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone's saying that. I think what people are saying is one or two things. It's the players that want the manager to stay. I think the players... You know, I don't want it to become an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation where it's just one big happy family and, you know, there's no standard. But at the same time, the players are actually playing for him and have showed fight in the last 5 games. Is it fair on a young, inexperienced group that do need stability? In my opinion, they do need stability, right? To seriously develop. Is it fair on them to just go and just sack him outrightly? And are the names even on the list worth the sacking? Are they? Because if they're not, that's part of the conversation. You know, there's no point bringing someone in if they're not of caliber. If you were telling me that, you know, you're bringing in top high level quality managers, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. If you're telling me that you're bringing in top managers, world class managers, whether it was an Ancelotti, you know, I still regard Tuchel to be a higher quality manager than Poch. You know, if you're telling me that you're bringing in top managers, this wouldn't even be a conversation. Based upon what I've watched for 85% of the season, this guy, in my opinion, would be out of a job. Now, that's not to say that the directors would be getting away with the team they've put together in terms of the lack of balance, not the potential, the lack of balance, right? And not to say that they wouldn't need to compromise the board on how to work with managers going forward in the transfer window, how to work with managers on a day-to-day basis and not have everybody running away from the Chelsea job. But the manager would also be, you know, under a lot more scrutiny based upon we're going for higher caliber people. But we're not, you know.
I want to say, go on, Javon.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question to the panelists here and anyone in the chat, whoever's listening. what is this meeting and they sit down with Poch for? Because I've seen reports that they want to sit down and have a conversation with him to review the season and what they wanted to achieve versus what he achieved. And what they wanted to achieve was minimum Europa League football, right? My stance on this is, if it was to attain Europa League football, then Poch should have been gone. You know why I said Poch should have been gone? Because attaining Europa League football shouldn't be contingent on another team losing the FA Cup final. Because at that point, you're putting everything to chance. If your stance on Pochettino is you need to attain respectable European football, which is Champions League and the Europa League, then you need to finish either 4th or 5th, because those are guaranteed Europa League football, despite whatever happens, whether with the coefficients or whether with the FA Cup final. So having this sit down with Pochettino makes absolutely no sense, in my opinion, because it's out of his control. So I wanted to ask you guys what you guys think about that.
If anything, you know what? I there's a part of me that's feeling that all of this is one massive PR exercise, right? Just to give the impression to the public that we're considering everything here. Like, we're looking at every single aspect. Whereas in reality, I think they already know what they're going to do. And I just feel like it's just a matter of communicating that to Poch. But whether it's going to be positive or negative, I don't even think he knows what's going on. The players we already know don't know what's going on. So yeah, I genuinely think they were just weighing up their options in terms of, and this brings me to the point. If we are going to change Pochettino, right? Let's just hindsight now. Pochettino's out, okay? Some people, that really, really want him gone no matter what. Like, nah, he's got to go. Fair enough. Who are we genuinely getting in? And I feel like this is the problem that the club have at the moment. And it's a legit problem. Who are we genuinely getting? Because I'm with Matisse here. If we're going to go and get a top manager immediately, right, there's a chance that we could knock on Real Madrid's door, and Ancelotti's head is turned. Oh, okay, no, you know what? I'm going to consider this. This is a no-brainer. This conversation doesn't happen. I agree. Even, and for me, some might disagree, but same would be with Thomas Tuchel in this instance. I would take him, right? Any top gaffer that's available, it's a no-brainer. But who is genuinely available now? And some of the names that people are going to put into the conversation are not available. Mm-hmm. People want Xabi Alonso. He is staying. It's not happening. If people want Amorim's come up in the last 24 hours, people think he's a legit option. He's not going. If not, he'd be at Liverpool right now. He's not going. He's staying at Sporting. Thiago Motta, he is going to Juventus. The deal is done. He's going to Juve. De Zerbi, now this is the one that's interesting. And now we already know that apparently he's going to Italy. Where? Don't know. Could be Milan, could be Napoli. But it seems like he's going to Italy anyway. But De Zerbi is the one that is actually available. And I'm sorry, I do not want De Zerbi. That's just me. I don't want De Zerbi near here. Some people take him because he's super tactical. I'm sorry, I don't want De Zerbi. I don't feel like he's proven himself. That's that. Who else? Mckenna? We're really going to take Mckenna. Chelsea Football Club, we're going to take Mckenna. Are we being serious? So this is, and not to downplay him as a manager, he might show up in 2 years, right? As someone that we could legit maybe look at and go, whoa, he's done something big. In the same way that Xabi Alonso has done something big at Bayer Leverkusen. But he had to have that big season at Bayer Leverkusen for people to take him seriously. Mm-hmm. That's the point. Which now he doesn't want to interrupt and he wants to stay there to play Champions League football at Bayer Leverkusen because he is young and he's got time and he wants to prove himself more. I respect that. And that's going to get him leverage later on when Real Madrid come knocking on the door for him. And that's where it looks like it's heading. So who are we genuinely going to go and get? And this is coming from someone that actually at one point wanted Poch gone because I felt like there was nothing to hold on to. Whereas now we have to be honest. And with the form that we had up until Aston Villa, since that point, we've got what we could possibly ask for. Not just even on the pitch, but off the pitch from Pochettino. I wanted some backbone. I wanted him to have a bit of bite. I wanted him to stand up a little bit more. And I wanted a little bit more, from him in terms of demand. He's actually given us that. The system has changed. His subs are better. The players are behind him. It does feel like if we interrupt this, we could be making a wrong decision. without actually getting in someone that's going to be an upgrade. It doesn't seem like there's anyone that's going to be a legit upgrade for now. So for next season, I do feel like it would be best to possibly hold on to him. But who is genuinely available for anyone that wants him gone now? That's the question.
Younes, I'm 100% convinced our owners are looking for a similar story like Bayer Leverkusen. It's not about the next big. It's not about let's get a Zidane, let's get a Ancelotti, let's get a Jose Mourinho. They're not interested in that because those are done. Those stories are done. I am convinced that our owners and our board, they want a story similar to Thiago Motta in Bologna, Xabi Alonso in Bayer Leverkusen, Kieran Mckenna in Ipswich. They are looking for that. They're not looking for the superstar and come in and do stuff. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They're not.
Yep.
It sounds wild. I know it sounds so crazy to even fathom. But that is what they are looking for. And this is where I'm hoping somehow Poch stays, because that thought scares me, because not every day of the week that kind of stuff happens. What Xabi Alonso did with Bayer Leverkusen, I'm telling you, I don't think this will ever happen in the Bundesliga ever again. And for it to happen in the Premier League whilst there's Pep, whilst there's an Arteta that's growing as well, season in, season out, and there's always a spanner, I'm pretty certain our owners are looking at Crystal Palace's Oliver Glasner and they're like, why didn't we land him? No, I'm serious. Because Crystal Palace is probably a team to look out for next season.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
They got a good team.
And this is where our owners, they think it's all just gonna happen if they just get like a gem of a manager and not really have a team that's suited. Even Xabi Alonso got Granit Xhaka in this season. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it just happened based on kids. He's put some thought around building that team. And he was building it since last season, not this season. He was building it since last season. So, look, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, are they at a point where they don't believe that Poch is that level of a manager that can just create miracle? Because I think they expected a miracle. They really did expect a miracle this season.
So when it comes down to Poch, I genuinely think they're chasing that storyline. With the manager situation, they're chasing a storyline as to what Miss says. Because remember, Potter got sacked not because they had to. Potter got sacked based on the pressure that the ownership and the football club was under at the time, based on the results we were getting. Right? In the manager shortlist was another scrub list. But look who we had on the scrub list before we hired Pochettino. It was the Brighton manager, Vincent Kompany. It was Ange Postecoglou, who no one knew anything about, and it was Pochettino.
I think Arne Slot was in there as well.
Arne Slot was in there. Now you tell me, logically speaking, for anyone who has a brain, who are you going to pick out of that list based on what we went through previously? We're signing 22 young players. Who's the best option there that has some level of experience to come in and take this team forward? It would be Pochettino. So I'm not having this hindsight foolishness based on what the club limits themselves to in terms of hiring a manager. Yes, it's hindsight. Yes, it's not good enough. Yes, he needs to go. But the club is still limiting themselves to who they're going to get. I see people saying Flick. I would love Hansi Flick to come into this club. But the club are not looking at him. Yeah. The club are looking for the next big thing to change the storyline. And it's annoying. It's pissing me off. Because long gone are the days where Chelsea would just come in and get the next big thing. Get the manager who's doing the work. It's not happening anymore under this ownership. So these people need to understand that this is not changing under the new ownership, and understand that, the best thing we can do is build on what we have now, or hope that there's someone out there that we can go and get, that the ownership agrees with. Because ownership are not going to go and take and pay the release class for Carlo Ancelotti, for example. They're not going to do that. They're going to keep on looking for this up and coming. And this up and coming thing is going to cause us to have another reset. Because we don't know if they're going to come in and build on what's there or start all over again with different philosophies.
But this is part of the problem when you have a consortium in charge, is that there's too many cooks in the kitchen and there's too many people that have different contrasting ideas of what they want to do. Because it's very clear to me that Todd Bowie seems to want to do one thing and Egg Barley seems to want to do one thing. And that's before we even get to the other names that are part of that consortium in Clear Lake. But when you look at other clubs, like say you want to take Man City, for example, they all seem to be pushing in the same direction. They all seem to be singing off the same song sheet. And they're not, you know, I have no doubt that there are some people on that board that want Pochettino to stay, and there are some people on that board that want Pochettino to go. And if Pochettino is voted to go, and I think it needs to be everybody votes, right, for it to be sealed as and be approved. Then, but by very default, the sporting directors that hired him and took months to come to a conclusion should be then under review as well, because you've made the wrong appointment and we've had to sack him within 1 year. I don't see a world where Pochettino has to be sacked this summer and the sporting directors don't have to have a review for themselves as well, because you have built the team and then put the manager in charge of that team, which is part of your job. This is why I say being a great scout and being a sporting director is two different jobs, two different things. You can be a great scout and just be a scout. Joe Shields is just a scout. He's not a sporting director, and he seems to be a very great scout at that, right? But to be a sporting director, you are overseeing all of the footballing side of the club. You are overseeing everything, which means you have to make sure everything makes sense. A scout can scout a player and say, this player is really good, this player is not good. This player suits this system, that player suits that system. This player has this potential, this player has that potential. But to actually put it all together and make it make sense, which is something we still have not done, that takes someone different. That takes a sporting director. Are these guys equipped to do the job? Just because they're great at finding talent doesn't mean they're great sporting directors. Doesn't mean they should be overseeing the entire football club, footballing side of things. Maybe they need to be under review. Maybe they, at a bare minimum, need to take a step down in their job title and just go back to being scouts. Maybe they should be on Joe Shields' level. And we should actually bring in, and I've said this word before, a president who actually understands football, not somebody who's just collecting 20 million a year, who doesn't understand football to the highest level. Someone who actually understands football to oversee this project. Because no one can come to me at the end of the season, this season, if we sack this manager, and say that this project is on track. Because the plan was certainly not to sack this many managers in this amount of time. For a team that wants to do, for a club that wants to do things completely differently to how Roman did them, you sure have a way of showing it, spending more money than he ever did in this amount of time and sacking more managers than he ever did in this amount of time. What kind of way is that to show that we want to be better and bigger than Roman? Doesn't make any sense. Truly doesn't. Yep. So people have to be held accountable. It can't just be the manager, because this has been going on consistently. It's a consistent theme throughout the tenure. So we have to look at the whole thing. It's a madness. It's a real madness, people. But you know, there's contrasting reports coming out today because, and I don't know Alex Crooks talk sport. I don't really think he's someone to be, you know, really going off too much. But some people are saying Pochettino will consider quitting if he doesn't get a greater say in the transfer policy. And then some people are saying that it's thought to be that Pochettino is ready to tell Chelsea board he's confident of continuing his trend, delivering on an improved second season. The thing is with Pochettino as well is that he isn't really that consistent in what he says. And I think he even addressed that in the previous press conference where he said, sometimes even my wife is confused about the way I'm articulating myself, because I'm not saying what I want to say or what I mean to say, right? And we've seen that throughout the season. He's kind of said one thing and then he's gone back on it, or he said something different. Or he said, no, I didn't mean that. I meant this. But, you know, we all can hear him. But at the same time, we all know that he's not speaking his first language. And he's, you know, maybe he's not articulating himself the way he wants to. But the way he is articulating himself is coming across that he wants to do this or that, and then this, and then that, and then this, and then that. So 1 minute he is going up against the board and challenging them and saying, yo, I am ready to stand on 10 toes and tell you that I am ready to walk if shit don't go the way it needs to go. It's not just you analyzing me, it's me analyzing you. But then he seems to maybe soften his stance and say, actually, no, I didn't mean that. And I'm ready to work with these guys. So I don't even know what Pochettino is thinking right now. If I had known all season that Pochettino is not happy, he's not happy with the recruitment. He's not happy with being left with Washington as a backup striker to Jackson in January. He's not happy with, A, B, C, and D. Then I would at least know where his head's at. But I don't even know if he's going to revert back to, actually, okay, guys, let's just all work together. Everything's fine. Fuck it. We'll get through it and we'll move on. He's gone through shit with Levy where he didn't get no money. So I know this brother can go through shit and keep his mouth shut. Don't even know.
If I'm Pochettino, like thinking from his, if I was wearing his shoe, I'd be concerned about my reputation. Like, I still want to keep a career going. I still want to be able to land big jobs. If I'm, for instance, the owners say to me, Poch, you're staying. But then I hear, I'm going to get rid of some of the players that you like because we need to get rid of them. I'm seriously concerned because you want me to stay, but you're going to take away the players that do well for me, but you still expect me to do well next season. And I potentially probably may not do well next season because I don't have the ingredients. And then all blame comes to me anyway, because that's pretty much what has happened this season, right? There's a lot of us that were blaming him, and rightly so. Obviously we understand it, not all the blame is on him, but to a certain level, Poch has taken a hit this season. It just happens to be that it worked out nicely for him right at the end. This is where we say the players really like him a lot. They fought for him, and we managed to finish 6th. It may not be the same case next season. So if I'm Poch and I'm not getting the vote of confidence from the owners, and not just the vote of confidence that, okay, you get to stay because you got 1 more year left in your contract, no problems, you get to continue. No. These are the profile of players that needs to stay. These are the profile of players that needs to go. And these are the profile of players that I potentially need to bring in. If you can't give me that, if I'm Poch, I'm walking. Because why should I be embarrassed next season? Why do I need to get embarrassed? And good luck to the owners for any manager out there to accept this structure of you give me whoever you want to give me and I'll do the miracles and get you to Champions League. It's not going to happen. I have never seen in the Premier League where a plethora of kids consistently making it into Champions League football in the Premier League. I don't know. You guys could tell me otherwise. I've never seen that.
True.
This is not Borussia Dortmund. This is not XYZ from other clubs. It doesn't apply. The same thing doesn't apply here in the Premier League. I can see once again in the live chat. So, like Slot, we don't have Michael Edwards, man. Stop comparing Liverpool to us. We don't have Michael Edwards, and we don't have the caliber of experience that Liverpool hold right now.
Still don't know what Slot's going to come in and do. It's still an unknown.
Who's Mo Salah in our team? Who's Virgil van Dijk in our team? Who's so many other players that they have? Who are they in our team? Stop comparing it. It's not the same thing. This is why I'm like, if this whatever conversation that's going to happen whenever it is, and now there's rumors coming out, and I know some of these rumors, who are these sources, but take aside the source and understand the story. Does the story make sense? 100% it makes sense. 100%. If Man United was to walk in today, Ineos, and present a case for Poch, that Poch, we believe in your credibility. We will work properly with you. You tell me the profile you want. We will go out there. We will bring it to you in the plate. You select if they're well enough for you. We'll give you X amount of money. We'll give you X amount of contract term. And we start something with Man United. You think Poch is just going to say, no, I'm loyal to Chelsea. I'm staying. No, he won't. So whatever this project we are cooking at Chelsea Football Club, it's got to make sense. And we've already had a particular manager in the likes of Nagelsmann that publicly stated, I don't know what that project was all about, and I just jetted away. I ran. So
Gotta ask yourself why. Gotta ask yourself why. You know. And was he not he wasn't the only one, was it? Was it Nagelsmann?
Enrique
Yeah,
wanted more control in the transfers, and they said, I don't think so. We're getting Esteval Willian. Enrique said, who?
I think, what was it yesterday I was mentioned? Apparently it was the wingers. I think it was the wingers in particular that he wasn't happy with. We had already signed Madueke and Mudryk. And then when we came to talk to Enrique, and this is going to apply to most managers that have
100%.
any sort of self-worth and value their credentials and value what their capabilities are. They're going to have demands. Nobody comes into a job, even if you go into a job outside of football, just in your normal everyday
100%.
life.
100%.
If you are qualified in a field and you have expertise and experience in the top 1% in a multi-million billion-dollar industry, because that's what this is. Let's just get to the fucking point, right? These people are highly qualified, whether you rate Poch or not. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you he is highly qualified at his job, and he is in the top 1% of people on the planet that can manage a football team at this level. So those people have expectations and demands to keep their own credibility and reputation intact.
100%.
And if you are not going to even listen to those people, when you yourself have no experience in this sport and you've just come straight in here, and I'm sorry to tell you, we are still failing. Until we get back into Champions League and pick up our first trophy, we are still failing as a football club because we have not reached back. We have not placed ourselves back where we were left under the previous regime. And you're not going to listen. Then I'm afraid you just look stupid to everybody else that is qualified in this very same field. Managers talk to managers. They have each other on LinkedIn. They have each other on WhatsApp. They will communicate. They will communicate amongst each other. I'm highly qualified. You've seen what I've done here, here, and here. I went here. They didn't listen to me. Look what happened. They keep thinking it's everybody else. It's them. All these managers. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen. It's not a good look. It's a terrible, terrible look. And I know we're always going to attract someone because we're Chelsea or because we're in London, because we have spending power. However, someone is not good enough. It can't just be anyone like a Mckenna that comes into this job.
Yeah.
Regardless of what system he's shown in League One and Championship, there are certain intangibles and finer details that it takes to manage at this level with this club, with this expectation. When you're going up against top managers in high-profile games where we need points.
And at some point, it's going to get even more embarrassing for Chelsea. Because let's say Poch gets fired. No, I don't think anyone would fight to keep Poch. But let's say Poch gets fired and we hire another manager and it's the same shit show next season. You know what that's going to say to everybody else? It's not the coach that goes in the problem. We would go through multiple coaches and the problem stays the same. It's going to be what is the common denominator? The common denominator would be Chelsea. When they look deeper into what's wrong with Chelsea, it would be the model, and the model just doesn't work. And then those coaches, their stock would remain the same as what it was before they came into Chelsea. And then that's going to have a trickling effect to where we just become a mid-level club.
And you know what? Even for managers, who did I hear this from? Not too long ago, but there was someone that made the point. If any of you recognize it, let me know. But there's someone that made the point that even managers at some point, even if they were to go to Chelsea and get sacked, it's not even going to do any damage for them any longer. Even for them, because it's going to get to a point where the whole industry will look and go, oh, you got sacked by Chelsea. Pfft, standard. So we'll pretend that never happened because that's just what happens when you go to Chelsea. Like you don't last and you get kicked out. We know the problem is at Chelsea, it's not with you, so it's fine. Now the rest of your CV we can talk about, but yeah, Chelsea, not a problem. It will get to that point because we are trying to adopt a model and not actually do what's necessary to make it work. So the whole thing is a joke. That's what it's going to turn into. And we're not far from that. This is why there's so much pressure in terms of where the club needs to be and what we need to do. It's close to that. We've gone 2 years under this ownership. We cannot go into a third jeopardizing everything. We can't. If we do, we're finished. We're finished.
Let's
So
officially mid-table, and we can't have that.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up because I just realized I got to be on another show in 5 minutes called the Mid Six. But I'm happy to say that I finished at the top of the Mid Six table, and I'm just gonna be dunking on people for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, we're back. We're back. People using other clubs' experiences to validate their choice on getting an inexperienced manager, says Ty. After the Todd Boehly interview where he talks about the process and the progress the team has made since December, surely now they can't sack Poch. Again, Todd Boehly and Egbali and these guys may not all think the same thing. I've come to grips with Poch most likely stays. So now no more. He needs time. Excuses. He should get us top 4 in Europa. Standards need to be maintained. I think we should be going for Europa League win 100%. We've been in it every time we won it. And top 4 we should be aiming for as well. And we need to not aim in. We need to make it. Would you take Xavi over Poch? I'm not even going to address that today, just purely because we ain't got time, but we'll maybe do that next episode. We're going to be here all summer. Poch should not get a say in any transfer. Look at what Tuchel did when he had a say. The board won't make the same mistakes again. Tuchel never wanted to say. I keep saying this. People don't remember. Tuchel never wanted to be in charge of recruitment. He always wanted to just coach. Funnily enough, ironically enough, now that's what
it's
they
ironic,
want.
isn't it?
Right?
It's ironic.
And unfortunately, we told him he had to get involved and he had to collaborate and he had to get involved on the WhatsApp messages because we didn't have the hierarchy already built at that point. So we need to remember those facts. If Poch got his say, this team would have 11 Gallaghers. All right, let's wrap that up. Listen, what a show. Unbelievable show. Next season, it's going to be interesting regardless, but we got a long time to go until then. I think everybody's at this point just exhausted. We're glad to see. Listen, it was looking like good football was going to be played, or at least wins were going to be attained at the end of the season. Maybe if we'd had a few more games, we could have gone further. But I as much as I was enjoying the winning run, I am also exhausted. So I'm going to enjoy this summer break where we just kind of talk about the club without the results killing us every week and obviously whatever transfers get made. But listen, guys, big up to Javon on the panel, Miz on the panel, Baba, Younes as per usual. Make sure you go and subscribe to all their channels. Links will be in the description. I've got a rush off to the mid-6, so I'm going to wrap up. But yeah, we'll be back next week. And probably by next week, we're going to know who the manager of Chelsea Football Club is. It's incredible. The drama is just incredible. You love it, don't you? Just what a club. So yeah, until next time, big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace. Come on.
Let's up. Bye.